This is investigative journalist Renzo Zindee. He's been a regular contributor to the Homeless Left, and now we got him on the phone line here from Presidio County, Texas. I'm going to go ahead and bring him in right now, and then we have here we go. Renzo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
We're going to start off. I'm going to show the story you wrote about what's going on the border that you released a little bit ago, and then we're going to get your take on it. So let me go ahead and we'll bring that story up right now. So this is President Trump's April 2025 directive to militarize the Roosevelt Reservation. It's a 60-foot wide strip along the U.S.-Mexico border, California, Arizona, New Mexico, established in 1907 by Roosevelt to secure the border, but Trump's move to designate it as a military property is unprecedented in modern times. Trump's memorandum allows the military to detain migrants crossing illegally within this zone, treating them as trespassers on military property, which some experts argue is an attempt to bypass the Posse Comitatus Act, a law limiting military involvement in domestic law enforcement. Immigration expert Aaron Reichland Melnick noted that this strategy could create legal challenges as it appears designed to sidestep restrictions on using active duty troops for civilian border enforcement. The deployment includes around 10,000 troops, military hardware like Stryker combat vehicles, and increased drone and maritime operation, aiming to curb illegal crossings and monitor cartel activity. Data from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection shows a recent drop in illegal crossings, which the Trump administration attributes to this militarization. Though critics question the apparatuses of using military resources for this purpose. The move has strained U.S.-Mexico relations, with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum expressing opposition to any U.S. intervention, especially amidst Trump's rhetoric about targeting cartels on Mexico's soil, after labeling them as foreign terrorist organizations. Defense officials have been planning this operation since March of 2025 with intentions to turn the border buffer zone into a satellite military base, creating new legal risks for migrants who cross illegally. He did the order on the 20th, that's his first day in office, declared a national emergency at the southern border. That invokes the laws to allow Department of Defense to use federal land for military operations without the usual restrictions. So it looks like it was because he could do the executive order that allowed this to even occur. This aligns with his immigration agenda, the emphasis on America first, which is part of his rhetoric in the campaign, which goes back to his first campaign. The two key questions which you pose: how will the Mexican drugs cartel respond to the heightened border security? What actions will the Mexican government and security forces take in response? And then here is the map on which this is occurring. And you are on the ground right now in Texas, in Presidio County, Texas, and you're able to see what's going on there for yourself now that we're a couple months into this, specifically since March, when this thing went into effect. What are you seeing on the ground right now, Renzo, as far as the application of this militarized zone, I guess you would say? What are you seeing with your own eyes?
It's a great question, Matt. I would like to start off by saying that, I'm in a location where there is no border fence or wall, and that's where the most heightened military security, I guess you could say, tempo or operations are occurring. And I mean, every single day you're seeing military hardware rolling by at least once a day on one patrol. You're also seeing drone activity in the air. You need binoculars to see them, but they're the typical Global Hawk or Reaper drones that you see over the Middle East. They are using them. They don't have their transponders on, which tells you they're for a clandestine purpose because they don't want the drone to be tracked. It's very unprecedented to see. Like, we've never seen this kind of military activity on. I mean, we've always seen Border Patrol, of course, but to the heightened extent is significant. But people are still getting across. May 27th, there was, I believe, a crossing, or March 27th, 2025, there was a crossing of 3 members being caught who claimed they were in a much larger caravan, but those other people were pronounced as gotaways into the United States. And that's been since Trump's gotten into office. Now, who knows if those other people were caught and brought, or deported, et cetera, or detained by ICE or immigration or HSI. I couldn't tell you. But the crossings are still occurring. They're just becoming more sophisticated and going to more extremely remote areas like Presidio County, Texas, and those places. But it's surprising to see, strikers and, essentially they're, armored personnel carriers. If you're not familiar with them, they would look like tanks, to somebody who's not savvy with military hardware. It's just incredible to see. I've been to the border hundreds of times, the southern border hundreds of times, and I've never seen this much activity in such a remote area.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think it's important to talk about this story with the military and what they're doing and how the Trump administration has found a loophole to, I think this cuts out a lot of the red tape of getting rid of some of the people they want to get rid of. That's been their goal the whole time, pretty much, is to just try to get, they've been skipping due process, for crying out loud. So why do you think it's important to pay attention to what the military is doing down there and what the Trump administration has done?
This will create, I agree, Pasta, with what you're saying, firstly, and I understand your question. I would say they're creating a pretext for provocations. Like, for instance, if the cartels were to take act military on the border, that would give the Trump administration a pretext to invade certain portions of northern Mexico to secure, for example, a big border crossing town is Eagle Pass and Piedras Negras. Those, they would give them the pretext to do it. In my opinion, that's the true reason why, instead of just beefing up Border Patrol, they put military here. So it's much faster deployment. We saw it with Broughton Island in the south, which is a small island that was run by the and I believe that was under Greg Abbott's orders, the governor of Texas, to take that island back from the cartels because it's technically U.S. territory, allegedly, according to the Mexico. I think it's like 1812 or something. They control that island. But since then, the military presence has increased. Cartels have taken shots at military members, but no one's been killed or severely injured at this time, or at least that creates a pretext, Pasta, to, hey, if they attack our military, that's attack on our sovereign territory. That gives basically carte blanche to the current administration to do what they want in northern Mexico. And the pretext of using, we're fighting the drug cartel.
Renzo, and you're also talking about, this is going like kind of, and I hate to cut you off, but I just want to make sure while you're right there, when you said this provides pretext, the United States government has talked about, people like Dan Crenshaw, others, about making a bill allowing them to go in and fight the cartels if they feel threatened at any time. You're saying this is the linchpin right here that will give them the go ahead to do what the Dan Crenshaws and the Marco Rubios and the, what's his name?
Cruz.
Yeah, he wants to be able to go there and fight the cartel at any time. And this is kind of like this going on the border right now is using it to weaponize that situation so they can go in, is what you're pretty much you're stating.
Correct. They're using it as a provocation to then lead up to a pretext, give them an excuse or a pretext to combat the cartels head on, rather than trying to attempt diplomacy with the Mexican military and the Mexican government. We can say they're not responding in accordance. Fentanyl still flooding the border, and human smuggling still occurring. And we need, it just, that's how they build their excuse, in my opinion, to invade northern Mexico. It's clear as day. Like, this is a provocation. They want something to occur here, significant. Therefore, they have the perfect pretext, linchpin, as you said, to then invade northern Mexico. I mean, which I think would be a huge mistake. Like, I know Mexico very well. These cartels are dug in all 50 states. We haven't fought a war in our border in the modern era. We have no idea what that, especially considering cartels have a presence in all 50 states. I mean, really think about that. What could they do with the people loyal to them, right? We have people in this country who've grown up, American citizens, American passports, who are loyal to the cartels. Like, what happens when we go to war with those same cartels? What are those people are going to do? What are they going to do in the country with their influence, power, money, again, to combat it domestically? It's just something. It's a very dangerous situation we would get ourselves into, and there would be blowback unlike anything we've ever seen. And in the industry of intelligence, they say blowback is not thinking past the collateral damage. So essentially, when it comes,
so
that's blowback. It's such a dangerous game that we would play. I would totally be against it.
Yeah, I think most people.
Largest mistake.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think most of us that are paying attention to this would definitely be against this. I think that some people in Trump's administration might not be completely aligned with this either. I mean, you guys both, we mentioned the hard-nosed players, the ones that want to go fight the cartel. What do you think about the timing of what you're seeing right now with your own eyes, and this thing getting this military basically bypassing bypassing governments and going right to military strikes? What do you think about that and the timing that we just heard from RFK talk about, that he had uncovered that the previous administration and the HHS was involved with child sex trafficking through the border, using cartels, using stuff there that the three-letter agencies keep hush hush. And he's saying, "Oh no, we took care of it. We got it. We got rid of it. We just are missing 300,000 children now." Do you think that has anything to do with this? And I just couldn't imagine that anybody on. Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head, Matt. Do you understand that expression?
Yes.
Like, form of expression?
Yes.
Like, you just hit the nail on the head. 100% is that there is so much to hide. These NGOs that were operating, non-government organizations that were operating in Central America, South America, in Mexico exclusively, not in the United States, obviously, they were heavily involved in this. Now, who was funding that? You and I could argue all day about who truly was. They're very good at masking their funding techniques and how they form these shell companies and how they mask their income using offshore bank accounts to pay and fund these NGOs. We could go back and forth on that all day. But the fact is, in helping sex traffic children across the border by entities that originate in the United States, without question. Whether that's the Republicans or the Democrats, or it's both. I can say with any level of certainty, but that is absolutely occurring. That occurred, like you said. Now there's 300,000 missing children. Like, what in what reality would that be okay? Like, it's just astounding to hear not enough people talking about that. Like it was such a big talking point during the campaign, and then it just disappeared.
Yeah, it gets me going even further down this idea. You're setting, okay, you're telling us that the administration wants to militarily start a war with the Mexican cartel, going around both governments. And I'm sitting here thinking, how much does that cartel and our three-letter agencies have to do with basically colluding with this system that's been in place way before Trump got there, of child trafficking, missing children, that involved the three-letter agencies, that involved the cartels. So how does this war with the cartels make any sense when they're trying to saying we have 300,000 missing children? Well, who was part of that? And so is this military operation? Is this trying to stop getting to that bottom? Because we already suspected that RFK Jr. isn't really doing much of anything except saying, "Oh, we took care of it. It's done. We're just looking for the children now." Maybe this military operation is designed to stop going any further down that rabbit hole and just go into an all-out war.
To deliberately hide the information by killing off the people that have the, which would be the cartels.
Wow.
It makes sense. I mean, I would bet my bottom dollar on that. Yes, that's exactly what they're trying to do, and they're using the pretext of the previous administration as an excuse to pursue these goals, these military goals. It is completely suicide. It's complete suicide. It's unlike, it's very, very dangerous game we're playing. And I don't agree with it, especially being on our southern border. It's just, there can be consequences we can't see. There's so much exploitation of children in our own system through our own youth detention centers. And it's like the youth are such an important commodity, and yet we exploit it at every turn, it seems like. And then we use it as an excuse, but then when it's time to investigate it, it actually release the information about who you name it, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, from all of these people to get that real information. Like, it's just hidden, masked under more lies and more lies and more lies.
Yeah,
it's so hard to uncover when they've gotten so good at plausible deniability over the decades. They've gotten so good at it. They've gotten even better in the digital era because there's no paper trail. There's no more paper trail, right? They can hide everything on Signal or these encrypted apps or using Onion to communicate through email. Like they've perfected it. It's a very hard thing to catch. But I'm not saying we should give up. I'm all for continuing trying to expose this deep, dark secret that the United States has, and we're definitely complicit, if not involved, in the smuggling of humans and then enslaving them into sex slavery or sex trafficking. It's horrendous. Because that could be any of us as children. That could have been any of us. That could have been me, you, Pasta, or any of us as children. That's what scares me. Or if I want to have children in the future, could that actually potentially happen to them in this world, this reality we live in? It's scary.
Yeah, it's scary. Craig, do you have any thoughts on what he's sharing? I mean, this is kind of news to us. We're not seeing anybody else really reporting on this at all right now.
Well, no, I just want to know if he had picked up any. I think he already mentioned it, like how there are people within our society. We also understand after Iran-Contra how connected the CIA is with the cartels, and it does seem like it's a cleansing process where they want to get rid of people who know stuff, but they'll just have other people pick up where they left off, and they'll have new goons to follow out their orders. Have you seen any unmarked vehicles that in the military wise that would make you question that it's something like a 3-letter agency? Have you seen anything out there that gives you evidence of that?
I would argue that they're mainly border patrol, but then they're also accompanied by military Humvees, armored personnel carriers, strikers, MRAPs, which are like MRAPs are mine resistant vehicles, basically armored personnel carriers. But no, nothing like if HSI or FBI or CIA or any of those agencies are operating out of here, they're operating under a non-official cover. So they're basically a plant in the border patrol. They're a plant in the military. Like they will often do that, where you're an officer in the military in the National Guard, but you also hold a contract with the CIA, a secret contract with the CIA. That's very common, and I would be thoroughly surprised to find out if that wasn't happening currently. Does that make sense, Pasta?
Does. Thank you, buddy.
Renzo, is there anything else you want to add to this story? Since obviously you put the article out and then now you're there, have you gotten any new ideas that you want to let people know?
I think that there's still tunnels, still drugs coming over the border. Human smuggling is I would say lessened under the Trump administration, but it's still occurring. Like the idea that it's completely stopped is false. It's still occurring. It's just gone more underground to more remote places, and now what they've essentially done is allowed the cartels to charge more for it because now it's harder to get across, so they can use that as an excuse, and then it gets smuggled across. They can't afford to pay it, so then they're forced into a form of human slavery for the cartels. And if you're a woman, well, that means you're more than likely going to have to be an escort or prostitute, and that's just it's like nothing is being done about that. Like we're still. It's like they show the deportations on Fox News and all the Newsmax or what have you, but they're not victims of this human smuggling. Like they're just talking about these quote unquote criminals. Fine, call them that. I don't care. But we should also be focusing what's happening to the people we haven't found. Like what happened to the kids? What happened to the women? What happened to the vulnerable populations that were coming across the border? What happened to them? I've asked so many people, and it seems it's just a big mystery. And then there's nothing that happens in this country that the government doesn't know about. Like, I'm sorry, there just isn't. I'm not a believer in that. Our government has their hand in all organized crime, one way or the other. Yeah. It's just unfortunate, but that's the reality. I wish, like you guys said, I wish more people report on that and be more brave to say it. But
yeah, and I think
absolutely occurring.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the big trick, the big scam on the MAGA voters is that as they were told that they're voting for this guy because he's going to make America safer. He's going to make the border safer. He's going to get rid of the violent criminals. And they really believe like that's a real thing that people really wanted. And people I know check that box for that reason. They want their neighborhood safer. But this narrative of we got them good. We got these 199 Venezuelan gang members. We sent them to El Salvador. Good riddance, and without any thought of the matter that maybe those Venezuelan gang members were sent here on purpose. Were actually handpicked by the CIA. We know that. We saw the paper trail on that one. That they actually worked with Maduro, got them here, and then shipped them to El Salvador. Now you got this narrative going around MAGA saying, yeah, if you are a violent person, we're going to take due process away from you. So we're dealing with that on top of all the missing children, on top of all the people that will never find out what actually happened. They go to war with the cartels, and they're shipping away people that were planted here to be shipped away. And meanwhile, and this is the kicker, Renzo, this is what Paz and I have been furious about, is now you've manufactured consent to arrest American citizens and have them shipped away because they're also violent when they yell "Free Palestine" at a rally. So this entire operation has been a psyop as far as I'm concerned, and MAGA has been captured. How can we get through to a Trump voter? Not to make them feel bad for voting for him, but let them know that this is not real. This is not the thing you thought it was, and we got to get more people aware of this. What can we tell them?
I think that we should ask them to just be even objective of their own thoughts or subjective of their own thoughts and their own ideas and their own opinions. That is my threat, to challenge them, like you said, but in a respectful way. Do it in a manner that they can try to do it in a manner in which they can understand, and be reasonable in your thinking, in your logic, and try to understand their perspective, but also show them their flaws in their thinking at the same time. And obviously there's pitfalls to all of those things that I've listed, but I think the important thing is just, like you said, continuing to try to get through. I don't know what the answer might be, but it's true. They were duped into voting for this person that they built up on this pedestal, on this stronghold, and in reality, it's not that. He's just like any other past president. They're tied behind the bureaucracy. They're tied behind the client states, and they're tied behind the stakeholders. It's just, that's the facts of our politics and how the system works. We're a gentocracy, ruled by old people, old wealthy people. Like, that's just what it is. And I think until we can finally break that mold, until we can finally say, like, when are we going to give the reins to the younger generations and to bring in new ideas and new ways of thinking, we're doomed into this negative feedback cycle. We're doomed to be done for the last 20 years and fight these pointless wars. I mean, you have Iran and Israel about Israel's every day there's been a news release. Oh, Israel's going to bomb nuclear sites in Iran if the diplomacy fails between the Trump administration and the Iran envoy. It's like it's just never ending. It's as if this is by design.
Russia, Ukraine still going on too. It's terrible.
Absolutely, it's terrible. It's awful. It's awful, and they're dying in the thousands. I've been there, Pasta. I've been to Ukraine. It's literally one of the worst wars. I've been to Iraq and Afghanistan in the U.S. military. That was hands down the worst conflict I've ever seen in terms of just fields littered with dead bodies, both Russian and Ukrainian, and you're seeing the devastation on scales that are just unfathomable that you would think in the modern era of warfare.
Yeah.
Renzo, thank you for coming on today. I know it was a little challenging with the tech, but we worked it out. We got you. We got you on here. We went through WhatsApp instead of StreamYard and got your voice heard, which is important. And we appreciate all the work you're doing. Anything else you want to leave us an audience with before we let you go?
Just visit my Twitter, Renzo Zindee, or at Zindee Journal. That's my handle. Please visit me there and read my stories. I'd appreciate it. Okay,
we will share that out with people, absolutely, and we appreciate all the great work you're doing. It's honest, it's courageous, and we need more like you, more indie journalist thinkers that can go out and go, not to mention, go to the story and see it for yourself. Even though I know you're dealing with that, there's definitely PTSD involved when you put yourself in these dangerous situations. We hope that you can stay in one piece and keep fighting the fight for us.
Appreciate you guys.
Okay,
later, Renzo.